All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We dodged a serious bullet. First, we're going to go through a cautionary tale. I was very excited after the James Webb telescope observations, and I was so excited that I forgot to close up the observatory. Worse than that, I thought I had, and I came home from work a couple of days later, noticed that the shutter was open, and it had been raining for 2 days. All of the equipment got rained on for 2 days while it was powered up. Um, I ran out here and all the power was down and my heart stopped. That was, and I was, it was terror, sheer terror. I used a 12-volt battery to hotwire the shutter and got it to close, and then just started disassembling and drying things out. When it was all said and done, all I lost was the main power supply and the laptop. Everything else cleaned up and dried out and is still working. So that was close. Could have been much, much worse. So next on the agenda is to build a weather sensor that will email me alerts and close up the observatory if if it starts to rain. And I've been meaning to implement that forever. So yeah, always check and double check. Make sure you close things up because that was bad. Just so busy lately and everything going on. It slipped my mind that I hadn't closed the observatory up, and I almost paid dearly for it. But everything's okay. But today we're going to do a New Year's Day Q&A. It is actually New Year's Day. Happy New Year, everybody. And a lot of times I get questions on the YouTube channel like, "Excuse me, sir, my telescope doesn't see far. How do I fix it?" I don't know how to answer questions like that, so I don't. But I also get a lot of good questions, and I've got a couple of good ones, and we're gonna go through them. The first one that I want to talk about came from Three Sisters Astronomy, and they asked about flats with the Hyperstar video. They watched my Hyperstar video and said, "Okay, well, how do you do flats?" And that's a big thing that I forgot to cover in my Hyperstar video because that's a big deal. I struggled with flats for a long time with the Hyperstar. With the I was trying to use a flat panel or t-shirts or anything. I was trying to do the typical put a flat panel in front of the scope and take your flats. Never worked. I always had weird illumination problems and donuts. It's raining right now. I hope that's not too annoying on the soundtrack. But anyways, could not get good flats with a flat panel. And I am almost certain, I didn't do a lot of troubleshooting, but I'm almost certain that it's because the light was going into the telescope, bouncing back out, getting interfered with by the camera, and changing the illumination of the panel. I think light bouncing back up out of the scope was hitting the panel and messing things up. I'm almost positive because of the way the flat looked. It looked like there was a shadow in the middle of it, and then just kind of the illumination bleeding off. So it looks like the light was coming back out, hitting the panel, and changing the evenness of the illumination. That was always messing up my flats. I started just taking sky flats, and it's been brilliant. I haven't had a single problem. All I do is point to an area in the sky where there are no very bright stars. I turn off the tracking, and then wait until the sky is bright enough to do like a 1 or 2 second exposure, and then take like 40 or 50 flats. And because the stars are tracking across, as you take the flats, they just get stacked out. So I've just been taking sky flats like that, and when the sun's coming up over there to the east, I take the flats like 45 degrees to the west, where the sky is nice and evenly illuminated, and then you just let the dimmer stars track across the frame while you take your flats, and then all the stars stack out, and you've got a really good flat. But her specific question was about cable routing and using the flat panel. My cables go down inside the dew shield here and then come out a hole in the bottom right here. So my cables on my Hyperstar. So I can actually put a panel right on top of the end of the aluminum dew shield. But I've never gotten it to work, so I just take sky flats. So yeah, that's how I do flats with the Hyperstar. I've only had luck with sky flats. And next question, we're going to go back to the computer to talk about because we got to look at some images. All right, so we're back in the house, and Steve writes on my 2600 monochrome review. Regarding the Rosette Nebula, you mentioned your stars being screwed and you wish you had it dialed in. I have a similar issue with my image. What exactly did you do to dial it in? And we corresponded a little bit, and he ended up sending me a couple of subs so I could take a look at it because I couldn't really tell exactly what his issue was just by talking to him. So these are the subs he sent me. California Nebula here, obviously. And I looked around at them, and it's kind of hard to diagnose what exactly is going on here because it looks like we've got some linear chromatic aberration. You see the blue and green on one side and the red on the other side. He was thinking it was backspacing, but I don't think it's backspacing at all because up in the corner here, a lot of the stars look good. We've got, they've got these weird wings on them and they're really misshapen. I don't know, and it's not consistent all over the frame. When I look at it, see these big bright stars, it's got a flat spot here. It's almost like it's diamond shaped, and this leads me to think that it's pinched optics. Let's break these channels up here. This is the red channel. Let's look at this star in the red channel. And then let's copy the same exact view here. This is green and blue. So red obviously looks a lot better. So it doesn't look like he's focused, but it's still got this odd star shape even in red. Yeah, I don't think this is a back focus issue. I think this is like a pinched optics issue. You can see his red is a little tighter, green is a little bit looser, and blue is a lot looser. So I don't think he was perfectly focused either, because then the green channel would have been the best and the red and the blue would have been a little bit out. So maybe slightly better focus, but yeah, this star shape is troubling to me. That looks like maybe pinched optics. And yeah, we've got the same star shape in the Pleiades here. And it's in the middle. If it was back focus, the middle would look okay too. And we've also got on these bright stars, look at this here. This is some like diffraction artifacts. Steve, go through your imaging train and make sure there's nothing hitting your light path, because these odd star shapes on the bright stars, see these smaller stars, they don't look terrible. It's just these bright stars that have these big weird shapes to them. Maybe you've got things in your, maybe your imaging train is getting choked off by a reducer or something, and you've got reflections that are going all haywire here. And that would correspond with the blue channel being much worse than the red channel, because the blue channel gets reflected a lot more dramatically than the red wavelengths. So yeah, go through your imaging train, make sure nothing is interfering with your light path, because this is a weird diffraction artifact. That shouldn't be like that. There's something is bouncing some light in a way that it shouldn't be. But yeah, this does not look like back focus or anything terribly simple. You've got something interfering with the light path or pinched optics. Those are my guesses there. But those let me see if there are any more. Well, no. Okay, but those are the two big questions I wanted to answer. The star shape problem for Steve and the flats for the three sisters. But yeah, keep an eye on your observatory and don't soak it like I did. Clear skies, everybody. Happy New Year. Let's make it a good one.